A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. So your dad went to this conference, and he had these scientists talking about addiction in the brain. Was there any sort of discussion about repair or like supposedly fixing this, or they were just saying this is what causes it? I mean,
we didn't get that far into it because there was a really bad storm going on, so he kept dropping out of connection. So we'll discuss it further, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I can paraphrase what we were talking about earlier, but I also don't want to put any misinformation out there because it was just a conversation, about something really interesting that I was doing. But he was basically saying that, and what I had said to you earlier is that there is some type of dysfunction in the reward system of your brain that delivers dopamine, and it works in tandem with the frontal lobe, which dictates, and I may be completely incorrect, someone might write you an email, but I think it dictates impulse control. And so those things work in tandem. They had figured out, they had supposedly through all these studies figured out it was an actual physical thing, that it wasn't just a like our own fault. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is and isn't, right? Because you don't really become an alcoholic unless you pick up the alcohol, but
it doesn't activate. But I mean, I don't know how many scientists you would need to tell you to do you need scientists to tell you that your brain is wired differently?
No, I
you know what I mean?
Not
to discount
not at all. No. But I mean, I'd be like, no shit, man, I'm a fucking dumpster fire. But if they were like, here are some graphs and studies that prove you're a total dumpster fire, I'd be like, see, I fucking told you all. I told you all. Ha ha.
Yeah, so that was just kind of the funny thing where you were talking about all this stuff, and they may have pinpointed this and described this, and they know exactly where this comes from and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, I know my brain works different.
Yeah. And I was talking to my wife about it in the car, and I was like, I think everybody though we were talking about mental illness, and I'm like, I think almost every single person I know has some form of mental illness or another, be it profound or be it really minor and just kind of in the outliers of their mind. I honestly believe that we all have something, whether it's an allergy in your brain, the stigma behind I guess what the idea is that addiction problems and alcohol problems, just problems with addiction in general, shouldn't be as stigmatized as they are, because they are stigmatized. Like, you tell someone you're an alcoholic, they immediately think about your bottom. They will. I mean, every time when I was in active alcoholism and someone's like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, I'm like, I would think about my bottom and then their bottom, or like how my bottom was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, the butt's coming, the butt of it all, man. Here it comes.
I had to tell somebody. I didn't have to tell them. We were at dinner, and I think it was much more graciously accepted when they were talking, and they had just come from this beer tasting, and I was with my girlfriend, and they were friends of hers, and so we all met for dinner, and he was talking about, have you ever had mead? And I said, yeah, I've had mead before. Yeah, it's really sweet and made from honey. And we're chatting, and he said, if you ever come visit, we'll have to go drink some mead. And as I was explaining to him, talking to him about the podcast and all that, and I said, well, I don't know if I come meet you, I probably won't be drinking any mead, but because I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I think I had the fortune of sitting next to my girlfriend, who is in very high esteem with these people. So by proxy, they looked upon me a little bit differently. But it's not something that I go around and tell people. And when it comes up, there's usually that sort of like, they instantly look you up and down and go, oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you did a really good you're doing a great job. And it's so funny, I wonder if so it didn't feel like you just overturned a shoebox full of bugs all over the table.
Well, when I was
it's like a fucking record scratch,
Well, they were saying something about, I was trying to explain to them, well, I produce this podcast, and as I was going to tell them about what it was, I had to, at some point, I was going to have to explain it to them. So I just was like, because I'm a recovering alcoholic. And so the podcast is about recovery. So the bugs were all over the table, but I feel like they were like ladybugs. They're like, oh, yeah. Look at all these lovely ladybugs.
You're like, sir, if I came and drank mead with you, you would never want to drink mead with me again.
You would
ever again. You would not want to. You would, or you'd be like, wow, I am not as bad as that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, a cautionary tale or a fucking dead end, you know?
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the A's for Alcoholic podcast. If you just tuned in,
it's just tuning in.
I know, but we just kind of jumped in there. We were talking about brain stuff and subconscious, and we wanted to discuss nightmares today, and it's for nightmares, and in specific, something that I was shocking and terrifying for me in early recovery was drinking dreams. I didn't know they existed, and I don't even know if we had never talked about it until I brought it up. I don't think it was something you had ever mentioned, because for those who don't know, Jerry's got a year of sobriety on me. But did you? I mean, what were your first thoughts, or how did you? Do you remember your drinking dreams?
In the 4 years of sobriety I've probably had, like, I didn't have dozens or anything. I probably had maybe half a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 4 that were super profound that I can remember, that were like strong, where I woke up like patting myself, like, am I in all one piece? Like, but there were, I can't remember them exactly. I just knew I was drinking in them. I was partying. I was probably partying with you in one of them. and then I remember being at the bar, and the one I remember the most, I was drinking beer, which during my active alcoholism, my drink of choice was bourbon. It was cheap shit bourbon. It was never beer. I remember drinking beers, and even my subconscious brain was like, you're not supposed to be doing this right now. You're not supposed to be it kept repeating it, and I was like lifting the beers up and drinking them. My brain's like, you can't do this, dude. You're not supposed to be doing this. And then the alcoholic part I remember it so clearly, the alcoholic part of my brain was like, well, you've already done it. Fuck it. You're in for a penny. You're in for a pound, dude. Let's fucking ride this shit to town, And I got like drunk in my dream. I remember being drunk in my dream, feeling hot. My lips felt hot. All those symptoms I had while I was drinking, all those things. And then when I woke up scared, like really scared. I had fucked up, like really, really fucking scared. And then when the fear left, I felt ashamed. Like I felt super shameful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was still wanting it, even though I didn't want it. It was the craziest thing. I was so mad at myself. I was like, your stupid fucking brain still wants it, even though you know what it'll do. Like, why?
Why are these separate parts of your brain that are like fighting each other? You're trying to be reasonable and rational, and something there's some lizard part of you that is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're already there, Jerry. Take it home.
Mm-hmm.
But crash that fucking car.
I'm over here trying to put my life back together, and in the back there's like this, don't stop believe.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's like the last episode of The Sopranos.
Exactly. I remember, so I had one drug dream a long time ago where I was on mushrooms, and it was so weird to me that I was and that was the only time beforehand that I had ever had any sort of dream where I was intoxicated. And I just thought, oh, cool, I guess I got to do mushrooms last night. And I think it was probably 2 or 3 months, maybe even sooner. I don't remember. I don't know whenever I talked to you about it, but I had that same feeling of, first I was in the dream and I was drinking, and I felt bad about it, and like, well, I'm not supposed to be doing this. What am I doing with this drink in my hand, and why? And it's those actual physical feelings of like warmth, the warmth from like drinking a cocktail or something like that.
Yeah.
And waking up panicking and like literally feeling like I had done that, and having to take like a few seconds to realize, no, everything is fine. You just had a bad nightmare. And there were a couple of times where like you said, the feelings of the shame and the guilt, like I had fucked everything up. They lasted like most of the day. It was something that was
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
it was so, I don't think that I've ever had like a lucid dream, but I feel like the ones I had, these were the closest I ever had was to those drinking dreams, where all the physical sensations that I have in, in waking life, I had in those dreams. And it was terrifying to the point of like, those feelings of guilt and shame and like, ugh, like I couldn't there. I mean, there were a couple of them I couldn't shake it.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how, I guess, I don't know how it was mostly just kind of like, okay, well, it didn't actually happen.
Right.
And I'm grateful that it didn't happen. So I think that there was a certain level of gratitude that helped me with it because it happened multiple times.
Right.
Like, okay. And it's just like, you're just sweating it out. You know what I mean? It's just like, your brain is still like, where's the booze, man? Like, this is what we do.
This is what we've done for years.
Decades, yeah.
Like, dude, you've been sober, 9 months? Like, what up, lightweight? This is what we've been doing for 17 years here, Playboy. Let's fucking do this, know? And this is, yeah. It's like dreaming about work.
Yeah. I didn't, those were bad too. But
yeah.
It was just this, like, being able to be grateful that it wasn't actually happening was really helpful. And I think that might've been something that you had said to me on the phone once or twice, like, hey man, you're doing fine. Everything's good. You're working your program best you can. You're staying dry. You're doing all the right things. It was just your brain just sort of still taking out the trash. Cause I'd always thought of dreams, a lot of dreams, people put a lot of meaning into dreams and a lot of weight into them. And I haven't been any one of those people. Not that I'm dismissive necessarily of people who read a lot into it. It's just when I get weird dreams where I'm like, I just don't understand it. I don't put a lot of stock into it. But these ones, it was the first time I feel like I was seeing my body detoxing in a way that I had never seen a correlation between a dream and what was really happening to me in real life until those dreams came to me, and it was just kind of like, you got to sweat it out, and I'm going to have another one. So, you might as well be ready. And I think I had one, I don't know, probably last year. So 3 years in. And so I had one 2 years in, and it was still that just for a moment. And it was a lot easier when I woke up, like, oh, okay, that didn't really happen. And I don't know, I never once felt good or like I got away with something or I didn't enjoy it.
Well, and I think that's the best clue that your recovery is working. You know what I mean? Because you weren't like, woo, free one. You were like, yes. In my heart, I feel awful. I had to, after I had the dream, I called my old sponsor and I told him, yo, I had this dream. I don't know what to do. And he was like, dang, you need to get your ass to a meeting, So I went to a couple of meetings and I like still felt it like kind of stuck with me for a few days. And the funny thing is I went online onto Reddit, the Stop Drinking, the subreddit. If anybody out there is, into Reddit, check out the subreddit of the Stop Drinking subreddit. It's pretty helpful. And so I made a post on there. I had this dream and it stuck with me for days. And these people had assured me that like, somebody had written like, yo man, it's not like you dream about having sex with your coworker and then wake up and apologize to your wife. You know what I mean? Like, it's just your subconscious working through these things, and they can even happen in later recovery because like I stated earlier, it's like just something you've done for fucking years. You've done it for years. I mean, I'm sitting here with like 4 years and some change sober, and that's a tiny part of the time I spent drinking. Like at 4 years and some change drinking, I was just warming up. I was just so. At this point, I'd like to look at it in my recovery. I'm just warming my recovery up. You know what I mean? That being said, I also love the model. I mean, I have to really iterate that I really love the model of the program in that all we have is 24 hours. I mean, these 4 years, they don't mean as much as the 24 hours I have right now, which goes back to M for mindfulness. You know what I'm saying? Bam, tie in. But
It's true.
But it's not something that in my opinion, anyone should feel bad about, because if you don't act on it, then you're not doing it. You're just, your brain is like taking the trash out, sussing out the old garbage in, garbage out. You know, it's just getting the garbage out now that you're not putting any more garbage in it. You know,
that was the way I looked at it, was just taking out the trash, because there was no other way to. I mean, I'd never been in a situation where I had these feelings and I had no reason to have them.
Right.
So how to figure that out was to just go through the day, you know, whether it be go to a meeting, talk to my sponsor. I've certainly called you multiple times.
Yeah.
And just kind of, I think I didn't do this, but if I had another one, I've started a dream journal, and not so much. If I wake up in the morning and something's in there, even if it's 2 sentences, I just scribble down, you know, my head was made of bubble gum last night, and
right. Yeah.
or whatever it was. And I think that that's really helpful to kind of get it down and go back and say, oh, hey, I had this dream about drinking strawberry daiquiris with, you know, Tyler. Or whatever.
Who's
it is.
Tyler?
I don't know, man. He's in the dream, just sussing out the trash.
A fetchy young Englishman.
But it was hard. It was hard to really finally get to a point where, well, one, I didn't have them. I think it was probably 6 or 9 months before I stopped having them regularly, because I would have one like once a week at least.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Damn. That's hard. That's really hard, man. That's a lot.
Once a week, I felt like a fuck up. Well, yeah. I mean, more than that, but my dreams made me feel that way.
You just got to write it out. I mean, you know, and like I'd said earlier, man, it's just that guilt and shame. They're shitty feelings, absolutely, but that's just proof that your program is you're working a program. You're sincere about what you're undergoing. You know, that what you're going through, it's sincere. It's not just so your spouse will get off your ass, or the court will get off your ass, or whatever reason you're doing it for. It means your heart's in it. You know, it means your heart is there. And, you know, now you got to get your brain to join your damn heart and be like, come on, man. It's so funny that we put ourselves in positions where we have to actually get our brain to follow our heart. You know what I mean? It's usually
the other way around.
You have to convince yourself that it's a good idea, and now you've got to do the, you know,
do the housekeeping that comes with it. You're like, I need to. I've got this positive thing I want to do in my life, and now I just need to get my brain, which has been rewired, and not only wired differently from, in my opinion, you know, for me since birth, and now that I have then soaked it, it's, you know. It's like spilling a cup of coffee on your laptop or something, you know, especially if your laptop wasn't working so well from the beginning, and then trying to figure it out. So
you gotta smack it, flip it, and rub it down, dude. You gotta just turn that shit right around, you know, because
I would also have these little, I don't know if I would call them daydreams, but I would have these momentary, and this would be in complete feeling really good about today, working my program as best as I can, maybe not always the best, but I would have these sort of like little daydreams, these little fantasies where I would walk through the grocery store and I think it would be summertime, and I'd be at Whole Foods and I'd see all the pink rosé, and I was like, oh, I wonder how many, you know, the first thought was like, I need to get at least 8 of those. They're so pretty.
I know. At least 8. That'll last me a day or two. Especially rosé.
And I would just have this, and it would be this flash that would happen within the span of like walking the wine aisle. And I'd be like, I could just need like 8 of those. I'm going to pound like 2 right away. And then I'll probably have 2 more. So that by the end of that day, I would have had like 5 bottles, and then I'd have 1 for the morning. So I'd catch a little nap, and you know, and so all this stuff, and then I was like all the horrible shit that would come along with it. But I still, that part that was probably dreaming had these sort of weird little fantasies, and like it would just be great to go get drunk, man.
And the funniest part of it is it's not even like your brain is like, oh man, a nice glass of rosé would be great. You like are already portioning out how much you need to fucking survive, you know? So it's not even like a normal innocent thing. You've already got a plan. and the plan involves how much you need in order to maintain that feeling. I was talking with a fellow alcoholic once, and they had said to me, and they had long-term sobriety, and they had said to me, every once in a while I would hope that something bad would happen in my life so that I have a reason to drink. And it just fucking struck me like a ton of bricks, because I was like, how the fuck did you get in my brain? Because it's exactly how I went. And I don't know if it's because I fucking listened to too much Morrissey or something, or like I just like, lean towards the macabre, too much Nick Cave. But in my mind, it was never like, oh, a whiskey on a sunny day would be good. In my mind, it was always like, oh, I need an excuse, so maybe something bad will happen, and that'll justify me going on a fucking bender, and
if someone I love dies, or
if
I get really, really sick or hurt, then
in early recovery, I was like, if I win the lottery and I have like a disposable income, I'm gonna tear my fucking liver out. Like, I used to think that shit, and I was like, damn, that is crazy people stuff. Like, that's just, when this person said that to me, I like shocked me. It gave me goosebumps, because I was seriously thinking, this is my exact thought process. Like, this is exact, like, we're two different people with two completely different lives that ours have now intersected having this conversation. And, it's just amazing. And that is also part of the nightmare, isn't it? It's that fail safe you thought always worked, and it just didn't work right.
Just wishing for terminal cancer of some kind so that you could just drink
go get
yourself. Yeah,
exactly. How dark is that shit? It's not even like, Happy New Year, Jerry, and I'm like, yeah, nice Corbell or whatever. No, it's like, man, fucking heart cancer. Yeah, that's it. That's a ticket. God, it's such a broken. It's like my thought process sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? It's funny you talk about your dream journals, because I don't really remember my dreams lately.
Well, I don't either, unless right when I wake up. Like, it is open and it is right there. And so sometimes it's a page, and I've gone back and I can't even read it. Some of it, like it's because I'm scribbling and barely can see the page. But,
it's all hubba bubba, bubble gum,
yes,
Wrigley hubba bubba.
But it's I like doing it, and it's those moments, those freaky, weird fantasies and macabre things that you think. And I read this one thing on, I think it was the Stop Drinking subreddit, and I don't remember who the person was, he or she. But they said something like, the way that I trick my brain is I give it this absolutely, unequivocally, never gonna happen scenario. And it's like, if I'm in Chicago and Bill Murray and George Clooney and Crispin Glover roll up in a gold limousine and have got a bottle of Dom Perignon, 1985, then I will go into the car and drink with them. Right. And so if I say that, then I know that my brain goes, no, I've got that out. I can always do that. That's always waiting for me. And then I don't worry about whether or not I'm, have to go to the liquor store for my office party, or have to, if I'm going into 7-Eleven to get a cheese stick and I have to go next to the IPAs or whatever it is. Yeah. And so you kind of give your brain, and that was the one thing. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense to me. I just kind of have that sort of thing that's, I know is never going to happen, but at least to a certain extent it could. So then I will. So I don't think about all the evil, dark things that I want to do. When
it works out that, I mean, I like that analogy. Works out great unless you're Matt Damon. And you already know all those fucking people, and then they roll up on you. Then you're like, shit. But I think honestly, when I think about it, I have to forgive myself for those things. Even though I've done nothing wrong, I still have to allow myself a little leeway and give myself a little forgiveness. Because you have done, I mean, I hate to speak directly to the listener and just speak from my own experience, but if you're experiencing this, you've done nothing wrong. Your brain is just working through a pattern it has always worked through. Mm-hmm. It's just doing it subconsciously. And now, I can go directly back to my own opinion on the thing, but, like, I just had to forgive myself and be like, it's okay, dude, you didn't drink. Like, you're whole. You got both your arms, both your legs. You're all right, dude. You didn't fuck up.
Your wallet is not on the floor. Ooh, your jeans are not turned inside out. Dude, still sleeping in your shoes.
And then I work in a cash industry, so there was no counting credit card receipts for me, man. It was just like I left the shop with so much money, and I woke up with $5, and I'm like, what the hell? So I didn't wake up with just $5, you know, like I didn't with one shoe outside, one inside. Like, how did I manage to get that shoe off outside? I don't know, dog. I was mad apparently when I was doing it because my hands are all fucked up, and yeah, man.
The plastic bag with the frozen pizza and the jug of Carlo Rossi Rhine wine left on the front porch because you were too drunk to even bring it inside the apartment.
Yeah, you just
I speak from experience.
Yeah, I know, because at that point the keys have become fucking, you know, chaos mechanics. There's become...
It's like the Hellraiser cube trying to open up the door. Yeah, I know.
Exactly, dude. You're just Stephen Hawking trying to figure out black holes, trying to get your pizza, your Totino's party pizza in the fucking oven. Oh, forget it. But
forget
you know,
to take
all
those
of
little
that...
Red Barons out of their plastic, put them in the
man.
microwave, and forget about them. Pass out, wake
Party
up the
time.
next day.
Right. You didn't do any of that shit. You get to get up and have a nice glass of OJ or a cup of coffee and do whatever it is you do. You greet the day or the mid-afternoon or however you do it, man, because you didn't do anything wrong. Your brain is just working through it. Does it mean that, like, you're craving alcohol? You may be. It may be nice to... I would suggest reaching out to another alcoholic, to another drunk. I'd suggest maybe making a meeting and expressing that within the meeting, because I guarantee you, like, 100%, everybody's going to come up to you afterwards and be like, I've been there, man. That is a shit show, you know? Like, we've all experienced it. You know, all of us in recovery. I mean, I can't, like, once again, I can't make absolutes, but I'm going to assume this is an assumption we have all been there.
I've experienced it for sure.
And I have too, and we're the only two people in this room.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, and it's and again, when you finally shake that off, and what a relief to be able to say, man, I didn't do any of that shit last night.
Yeah. Yes. Oh. Yeah. It's like in high school when your girlfriend's like, I'm pregnant, and then she's like, oh, wait, I'm not. That's an awful analogy, but that's what it feels like. You're like, that fear's mounting up. I've ruined my life, and then you realize, oh no, it was all just a dream. It's all Dallas. I'm Bobby Ewing.
Yes. So it's just I love that feeling of like, okay, I can forgive myself. I can move forward through this, and I can like you said, I can look at the day and everything all right over there?
I lost my train of thought, man. I have this 9-pound dog, but he's got the personality of like a 50-pound dog. So,
well, I'll figure it out.
I don't know. Everybody might hear it out there when they're listening to the podcast. It sounds like someone's stepping on a like squeak toy, but it's happening way off in the distance. He's like, I'm your drinking dream. Get up.
But it's such a relief to be able to wake up and know that it was all a dream.
Yes.
And it doesn't last forever. No.
But they may show up in later recovery as well. I mean, but at that point, you hopefully have the tools to deal with it. You know, that's all this recovery shit is you just got to learn the tools to deal with it, whether through whatever program you're working or not. You just got to deal. You have to learn how to deal with life, and part of life is being a sober person who dreams about rosés, I guess.
or whatever.
Whiskey
sours,
Evan Williams and club soda. I don't know. Shit beer. I don't know. Maybe we should stop listing booze, but like whatever it is.
You're doing just fine. It was just a dream.
It's all a dream. Yeah.
You get to wake up sober, I think, is the most important thing.
Hell yeah, you do. You get to wake up sober. That's the best part.
Thanks again for listening. As always, our music is by Neglect. You can find his stuff at neglectsound.bandcamp.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And get a hold of us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.